A woman is running away from a man, but the man catches her and takes her inside the house. Meanwhile, a mute man sees everything and goes to knock on the door. The man says, "Now we're about to have some fun." When he hears the knocking sound, he says, "I'll be right back." He opens the door but doesn't see anyone. The mute man touches him and gestures about wanting some candies. The man says, "What do you want?" The mute man keeps gesturing about the candies. The man says, "I don't understand what you're saying. I'm busy right now." "Fine, I'll buy all of this from you. Then you'll leave, right?" "Wait, let me go get my wallet." The man goes to get his wallet, and the mute man enters the house and tries to find the girl. He finds her and goes to her, trying to untie her hands. Just then, the man's voice is heard, and the mute man quickly leaves the house. The man gives the mute man some money and takes the candies from him. He says, "Now you go and keep the rest of the money." Then he shuts the door. The mute man still wants to save the girl. He picks up a stone and throws it at the window. The man sees him and says, "Wait, let me deal with you." The mute man runs away in fear and bumps into a police officer. The police officer says, "Hey, where are you going in such a hurry?" The mute man points toward that man. The police officer says, "Why are you chasing him?" The man says, "He broke my window." The police officer says, "Is this true?" The mute man nods his head. Then a cart seller appears and says, "What are you saying to my friend?" The police officer says, "Is he your friend?" The man says to the cart seller, "Are you responsible for him? He broke my window." The cart seller says to the mute man, "What have you done? I've told you many times not to harm others." The mute man tries to explain something. He says, "I don't understand anything, but what you've done is very wrong." The cart seller says to the man, "Look, please forgive me. I'll pay for your damage. I haven't sold much cardboard yet, but whatever money I have, you can take it." The man says, "This money is too little. I can't buy windows with this." The police officer says, "Indeed, this money is not enough. We will now calculate the total cost." The man says, "No, I don't need the money. I've forgiven them." He returns the coins and walks away. But the mute man still tries to explain something to the police officer. The mute man's friend says, "Be quiet. You've already caused enough trouble." The mute man doesn't understand anything. Then his eyes fall on a poster. He taps the police officer and runs. The police officer catches him. The officer says, "What's wrong with you?" The mute man points to the poster and tries to explain what he saw. The mute man's friend goes near the poster and says, "You want this?" The mute man gestures yes. The mute man gives the poster to the police officer and tries to explain. The police officer says, "Are you saying the girl in this poster is inside that man's house?" The mute man gestures yes. The officer heads toward that man, and the mute man follows behind. The police officer reaches the man's house and says, "Stop." The man pulls out a knife. The officer says, "Don't try anything." The man says to the officer, "It's better if you don't interfere in my work." The officer says, "Stop right there." Just then, the mute man bites the man's leg. The police officer catches the man and handcuffs him. The mute man unties the girl's hands. The man says, "Let me go." The officer says, "You'll be punished for this. Stay quiet." The mute man signals the girl to take a deep breath. The mute man comes out with the girl. The girl thanks the mute man and says, "I knew you'd save me." The mute man gives her the poster that had a reward of $1 million on it. The woman says, "I'll make sure you get your reward." The woman thanks him once again, and they all hug each other. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.